Stairs are always designed from floor to floor, not floor to ceiling. So the dimension that you need is the dimension from its floor to floor. So, for example, this stairway goes from this floor down here to a landing to this floor. This stair starts at this landing and goes down to the basement floor. So therefore, you always have to design from the floor top to the floor top. That way you can find out the dimension and get an equal number of risers and treads, right? So sometimes I draw a guideline and I start at the top of the stair and I go down to I start at the top of the floor and I go down to the bottom floor. So that's the first thing. So the first thing we've got to do is find out the floor to floor dimension. So that's number one, floor to floor dimension. So how do we do that? We can type in list, L-I-S-T, enter, and select this line and right click and then lift up the curtain and see what it is. So the length is 10 feet 8.5. Okay, or let's put the curtain back down, or you can do a dimension, right? So now we know this is 10 feet 8.5. Okay, so the rules are you have to have a minimum of 10 inches on your tread or your step and a maximum of 12 inches, okay, except the landings and the floors. And that brings in the rule, there's always one less tread. There's always one less tread than riser. So if I have a floor here, okay, and so looking at this floor, there's one tread and a landing, right? And this is a floor, suppose this is the floor, right? So let's look at that. This is a floor, and this is a floor. And there's only one tread, but there's one riser, two risers. There's always one less tread than riser. So if you have 15 risers, you know you have only 14 tread. So that helps you figure out the math. Okay? So now, all of your risers, all must be equal. You can't have 15 risers at 7 3/4 of an inch and then finally run out of room at the end and say, oh, I only have 5 inches, we'll just put a 5-inch riser. No. Just so people don't trip up and down the stairs, all of the risers must be equal and all the treads must be equal. The minimum riser height is 6 inches that you'll be working with, and the maximum riser height is 8 inches. But also see the local code, because this number changes for residential. Sometimes it's as high as 7 3/4, and sometimes it's lower than, it's as high as 8 1/4. The maximum nosing radius, and you know how to do a radius, is 9/16 of an inch. So those are your rules. So if you look here, you can count the risers here. There's a riser, and you know you have one less tread than riser. So what you have to do is, the next step is you have to convert that number, convert that to decimals. But first thing, the best thing to do is convert it to inches. So 10 feet 8.5, that means 10 times 12 is 120. So therefore we have 120 inches plus 8. So it's 128.5. So you'd be well to do the decimal now. So it's 128.5 inches, right? So now the next thing you know is you have to get a number of legal risers. How many legal risers can you get in there? How many legal risers can you get to equal 128 inches, 128.5 inches? So you have to figure that out. So let's just try something. And it's arbitrary right now. So 128.5 divided by, let me see, there's 10 12s, so I know a riser can be 6 inches, so I'm going to try 24. I'm going to double it. 24 equals. Okay, I can't use 24, so I'm going to try another number. So you're going to try a bunch of numbers, and then you're going to use your divide command. And we have, let me try that one more time. Let me see, clear. 128.5 divided by, let's say, 22 risers. Enter, equal. Can't use that, so I'm going the wrong way. I've got to go the other way. So 128.5 divided by, let's say, 26 risers. Enter. That's not going to work either. So 128.5, I got to go back the other way. Divided by 23 risers equals, clear. 128.5 divided by 128.5 divided by 20 equals. All right, that's 6.45. So I can have 20 risers. So, because each one will equal 6.45. So 128 divided by 20 is 6.45. So I can do that. So let's say I want 20 risers. Okay, so let's do that. Type in divide, D-I-V-I-D-E, enter. Select this line. And look at that command prompt. This is the only, one of the few commands, this is one of the few, excuse me, stop. This is one of the few commands that you don't right click to advance it. So don't make that mistake. So as soon as you click it, it asks you enter the number of segments. I'm going to say 20. Type in 20, enter. And you see these little X's, those mark out, those are called nodes. And when you draw the line, you can't snap to them. Look at that, you're snapping to the endpoint. You got to snap, you've got to tail it to snap to the node. So once you click on node, that's okay. Or you can type in N-O-D-E. Now, that little circle shows up. You can snap to the node. See there? But you don't have to go all the way down. Make sure you're snapping to the node here. You don't have to go all the way down. You can go to move and move these out of the way and start moving them towards your stair so you can begin your stair. But you know you need 20 of those, so you can just copy these down, right? If I copy these two, I'm coming down here, and now I've got 4, and that's a good number. I can copy, 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 and copy these last 3. So now I know my riser height. So now I can begin to draw a stair, right? Because I know my, I have all equal risers. Okay? So now I can actually draw one stair and just copy it down. So right now I can just draw this one stair, put the nosing on it, and draw it down, right? And this distance should be about 2 inches, and that distance should be about 2 inches. So you are going to begin to draw that. Now, one way to draw it is once you draw your stairs and you figure out what your tread length is, now you have your tread and your stringer. So now your stringer can go to the edge there, right? So you can, your stringer now becomes that, right? So now you can copy the stair from here to there, right? And you're going to move this. Now you can move your stair out of there once you get it and move it to the dimension that's minimum here. You can erase these. Once you get 2 or 3, you don't need those anymore because they're all equal. Now you can. What I wouldn't copy it unless I would offset 3/4 of an inch for the tread or whatever size material you're using. I would move it out an inch, 1 inch. There you go. And then I would offset my 3/4 there. Get that one and offset that one 3/4. So now, and be sure that you know that the tread is below the riser, and the riser is sitting on the tread like that. And now you can trim these off. There you go. And you want to put a bull nose on there, go to circle, and go to 2 point. And if I snap here and snap there, I got my 2 point. Then I can trim this one. Then I can trim these off and trim these 2 cutting edges. There you go, and there you go, and get rid of that one. So now I've got my stair. I can copy this one up from the same point here to the same point there. There you go. So now I've got my stair. So now I can copy. Let's see. I've got to have a complete system here. So in order to get a complete system there, I would need to copy this piece, right, from the center line to the center line. You see that? I'll do that again because that's very, very Batson. I always find that the most eclectic ways to move things. So I'm going to move again. I'm going to move these 2 to put them up here because it has a little line down there. And where is the base point? I'm going to snap to. I know the center is there, and I know the center is there. There you go. Oops. I should have said copy and not move, right? Let's do that again. That way you get to see it again. Copy. I clicked on move. And snap to the center, and snap to the center. Now that I got this ensemble, all I have to do now is copy this piece. Maybe I should make a block out of them. I don't know. Well, I'll just do it since it's just one stair. And then I'll go from the end point. Now I'll go from the end point here, because that one doesn't have a bull nose, to the end point up there, right? And then I'll go to the end point up there. And I'll go to the end point up there. And the end point up there. Okay, and now we know that our stringer is a function of this line. So line down here and offset. Your stringer should be about 3 inches off of there, so it's enough material so that you can have a strong stair. And then you offset that stringer. 11.25? That's a 2x12, right? So let's see what that looks like. That looks good. So now your stringer, you can use a 2x10 right off the shelf. So now there's your stringer on there. So there's your stringer, and if you want to, you can come back and do your hatch. Let's pick that diagonal hatch. That looks pretty good, but it's kind of wonky. It's got too many lines. Let's pick another one. That diagonal line will work fine. Let me see. No, that one won't. Let me see. Where's my diagonal? This looks good. That looks like a good wood grain. There you go. There you go. It might be a little bit too dense. Let's take that out of there. Just to give it some sense of a finished piece of wood, right? Let's see. We don't want too many lines. Just a hint. There you go. And what you would do is you would do 2 of these, and that way you don't have to do all of them, and then you would copy this ensemble all the way down, right? So you would need at least 2 risers and a tread. That way you can copy these 2. Let's go to erase now. Let's erase these again so you can see it. So now you can at least go to copy now, and you have a base point with which to move it. So you need to copy this, and the little nosing, and then you can go from either this line or this line and snap it up to that line. So select and select. Okay, so let's go over to the divide command again. You see these little nodes that show up? They're not going to show up all the time, because I'm going to type in the command ddp type, dype, and that's this command over here, ddp type, enter. Now if I put that at 0, look what happens. And if I draw a line from here to here, and I type in divide, D-I-V-I-D-E, enter, and I select it. Remember, don't right click, because it's asking you which number 7. I'll just say 35, enter. Those nodes are on there, but you just can't see them. Matter of fact, if you go to line and you type in node, N-O-D-E, and you want to go to a node, it'll automatically find the node. There's one, there's one, there's one. And this is 35, so they're closer together than these, right? But you can't see them, but they're there. Sometimes when you erase a line, you might see these dots because they're already there. See, they're still there. And you're going to have to go back and erase those later. But if I type in, if I want to see them, I'll type in DDPTYPE, DDP type, and I'll put, let's just put this X on there and say, let's make it 1 inch, let's make it 5 inches this time. We can make the size you want. Now, look at those big X's. Those are big nodes. So right click, we can go down to 2. There you go. Actually, we can go down to 1 like it was, defaulting. Okay. So, and you can pick out, you can make them into squares. See there? And you can make them into circles. So anything that you want, but anyway, line goes to the node. It snaps to the node and it snaps to the node. So you want to, that's how you'll get those. Now, the way you'll get your tread length is you've got to find out the distance between here and here. So let's do an annotative dimension there. If I go to linear and you want to go from here, the edge here, to typically we go here, but the stair is going down below. So you know you've got to clear this space with, by the time you get to here on the stair, this space has to be minimum of 6 foot 8 inch minimum headroom. So your tread, the longer your treads, I'll do that for you. If you have longer treads, your stringer is going to do what? It's going to move like, it's going to be longer. But the shorter your tread, the steeper your stairway is. For example, if you go up 7, enter, and then go over 10, enter, and go up 7, enter, and go over 10, enter, and go up 7, enter, and go over 10, enter. And then you do the same thing. You go up 6, enter, and go over 11, enter, and go up 6, enter, and go over 11, enter, 6, enter, 11, enter, 6, enter. You notice that both of these have 2 different sloped curves, right? See that? This one is, and this one. So yeah. So if I was to move this one over here, you would see that they're not the same angle, right? And you can list that. L-I-S-T, list, and select this line, enter, and lift up the curtain, see what angle that is. That is, the angle is 207, okay, delta. And so let's see, let's select this one. This one is 215. So those are 2 different angles. So now you know the angle, so you can actually draw the stringer too if you want to. At angle, distance, degree is 215 or 217. So that's how you draw that. But we want you to place your stair in there correctly. And remember, the dimensions don't touch the architecture, so let's move that back about like that. Well, we can move it across the dirt because the dirt is hatched, but we don't want it to touch that. Make sure none of these are touching. Good job. These are okay. So that's how you do the divide and get those stairs in here. And those are your rules. And it's simple as that. So, and there's no way to get rid of these nodes unless you erase them. So, and if you ever open up a drawing, you see a bunch of X's that you didn't put in, maybe it was because you forgot to turn off the nodes. So, anyway, I just did that to show you. And let's see, that's the basic way to draw the stairs. So we want you to make sure that the railing is 10, we want you to make sure the railing is 2 foot 10 at least, because the railing height it goes from 34 to 38 inches. Okay, the height here has to be 6 foot. Okay, and your stringer has to be at least, you might want to do it 2 by 10, I mean 2 by 12. And of course, if it's larger, you can always splice two pieces together, and they can fix that. And at the end of your stair, you always have to have a 2x4, and this is a centered on there, and it's a nailer at the end, and you of course you have rebar at the bottom, and this is called a thickened slab because there's a lot of weight. The weight is carried right here, and we don't want the slab to crack, so we thicken it right here along the length of the tread and the riser. We thicken this along the length of the riser. So that's what you're going to do, and you're going to put those dimensions in there. Okay. So yeah. So those are going to be the rules and regulations for stair. So you find the floor-to-floor height, you find the decimal equivalent, and you divide it by a known or a reasonable number in order to get a reasonable number of risers that are all equal, either between 6 and 8 inches and the treads between 10 and 12 inches. So, and of course, this is the roof pitch symbol. This is the insulation. You have the shingle, have the gutter. This is a beautiful drawing I've drawn maybe 20 years ago. There's the header that holds in the window. There's the window. And there's a fixed window. And of course, this is a casement window, a large casement window. And this is a window that is operable. You can tell you can lift this window up. And it's a nice drawing. Uh-oh, I forgot a radius there. The railing is, let's first find out the railing. All right, let's see. I'm going to do a dimension. What is this railing? I'm going to go to near inner and go up here. Okay, oops. I'm going to do this railing. Let's see, what is this railing? Let's see, it's 1 3/8 of an inch. So I know that the radius is, fillet radius is 1-3/8, enter. So left select and left select, okay? So now if I go to circle and I go center radius, I can touch this arc and find that center. And then I can actually just touch this railing and get that arc there. Okay. And if I want to, I can list it L-I-S-T, enter, and put that in there. Or I can move this down so it's actually touching here. It actually should be touching there. And so now I can trim this off. I can go to trim and find that angle. And now I'll use these two as the cutting edge and get rid of that one and that one. There's my curve. That one is sort of wonky there, so sometimes you have to maneuver it back. I'm going to go to move it here, and I'm going to move it to NEA, the nearest point here. Let me see. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to list it, L-I-S-T, enter, and I'm going to select it. And I'm going to find out its radius, and I'm just going to, radius is 3 5/8. Radius is 3 5/8. Okay, I got you. So now that I know the radius, I can put the radius in and without any problem. So now I can erase it. I can erase it, and I can go to radius, fillet, or enter, and go to 3-5/8, enter. Left select and left select. There you go. Now it's concentric, remember? Okay. All right, so those are your, and then you're going to draw a scale figure. You're going to insert, and you've done that before. And we need you to put, we need you to make a little diagram here of your drawing. What you can do is you can copy your stairs and move them over here. So let's move this over here. Okay, and let's see, let's go back, we're missing some stuff. That's what happens when you don't make a block. Let's get all of that. There you go. So now what we want you to do is we want you to put your dimension in here and your dimension in there. What you decided for your stair. So, and put your post there. And this will be sort of like a little detail. So that's what it is. Now, your leaders here, sometimes in order to get this line here, you've got to explode it so it becomes outside of its pieces parts, and then you go to arc, start in radius, and remember it's always counterclockwise. Start in radius, start in radius. Okay, take my ortho off, start in, and then you can make a radius that makes it look like, so now we know that's touching here. Sometimes you can explode it and change it. Now these leaders here, you're going to go to the proper layer. You're going to go to dimensions, there you go. And that's going to be the current layer. And it's by layer, blue, blue, blue. Okay, by layer, by layer, by layer. Okay. So now you're going to zoom in there and you're going to pick a leader. You're going to go to annotation first and see that multi-leader. You can let's put a leader there. You can take the ortho off and put the ortho back on to make it straight, and then type in your text. Okay, if that's too small, then you go to this arrow, the leader arrow, which is the multi-leader, which is an annotation. And I pick Batson, and if you want to make it go to Batson 2, you can do that. Click on the leader, and guess what? It's a little bit larger. Okay, see the arrowhead's a little bit larger, and then you can go to Batson 4. Okay, and if those aren't in there, you make sure you put those in your prototype, that way you'll always have them. So I'm on Batson 4, and I pick a leader, and then that goes here and there. And then I type in, and the text is larger and larger. Now if you want another one, let's just make another one. Let's go to Batson 4, let's go to multi-leader style, let's go to new, let's make a 6th one. So we're going to start out with Batson, and we're going to make your initial. I'm going to make a Batson 6, continue. All I have to do now is go and change the number here to 6. See that? 6. Okay. And set the current and say close. Now that I set the current, it's in Batson 6. Multi-leader. Let's go here. There you go. And put this here and type in the text. It's 6. So that's how you do. Okay, so that's how you do the change in multi-leaders. And you can, of course, do your multi-leader style here. You can create a new one, go to new and modify. And if you want a larger size, all you have to do is go to fit. And if you want to go from 8 to 10, 12, just change that number. And everything else changes up. Okay. Okay, let's see. I hope that you are becoming a CAD wizard, like I told you that you would. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're in our paper space, we're going to go to model, and we're going to zoom, enter, zoom extents, where you are going to print your stairway out here, and then here you're going to print your detail. Now I think the detail will be 1.5 inches equal to foot. Or the detail could be not to scale. It's just large because it doesn't need to be scaled. This one, let's find out what the scale could be. Z, enter, 1 over, I think it's 1/8. I'm going to type in 1 over 96 XP. That's the zoom scale. That's too small. Let's try 1/4. Maybe it'll go 1/4. 1 over 48 XP. Enter. There you go. So it's 1/4 of an inch equal to foot. There you go. And good luck. Enjoy your stair. Okay, see you next time.